Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into another edition of the Locked On Rays podcast. And Ulises, we have a very special guest with us today. One of the Rays' top up-and-coming prospects, Mason Auer. Mason, how are you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. What have you been up to since the 2022 minor league season concluded?
Just been working out, training, getting ready for the season. We just had a week-long hitting camp down there just to see where we're at and stuff like that. And, I thought it went really well. But I've just been preparing for the next season.
Ooh, week-long. Can you take us in and give us a little bit of the names that you might have interacted there with in that week?
Yeah, so, all of our coordinators were there. Kyle Wilson, Will Bradley, just everybody, all the coaches were there. It was a good time, but the other players that were there, Drew Baker was there, Bobby Seymour, Carson Williams, Cooper Kinney, and a whole lot of other guys were there too.
And so was this in St. Petersburg? Was this at the Trop or some other location?
Yeah, they had it at the Trop.
Okay.
Ooh. Was that your first time actually getting some playing time at the Trop? Maybe you took batting practice when you got drafted. I don't know. Was that the first time?
So we actually weren't on the field. So they were preparing it for spring training. So we were in the cages and stuff like that. But I actually played on the field in high school at the PG National when I was going through that circuit. And we got to play on it one time when I was in the rookie league in the FCL. We got to go down there and hit and stuff like that. So I got to hit on there a couple times.
Fantastic.
And I guess Mason, being from Missouri, being able to get a taste of Florida in January, December, I guess that was pretty nice too, being able to explore St. Petersburg and the surrounding Tampa Bay area.
Yeah, it was nice to get away from the cold for sure.
Yeah.
You can speak to that, Kevin. You're an Indiana guy, so you went to Florida to find some heat.
That's true. That is true. All right.
Warmer up there in Indiana either.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you're right about that. Ulises, should we get right into deep dive into Mason and growing up and going through the genesis of becoming a professional athlete? Ulises, I'll let you take it away.
Well, before that, I really want to highlight your 2022 season because it was just terrific. You slashed 290, 372, 487. For those that don't know, 15 home runs between low A and high A. You had 12 triples. You swiped 48 bags. And then you were not only the base runner of the year for the Rays, but you also had the 2022 championship in high A. Can you tell us how that felt, that final out for that championship, what it meant to you guys?
Yeah, we worked so hard to get to that point, and everybody's got the same goal at that to get that championship ring, and it was just awesome, to see all our guys competing out there and come out on top. It was a really good feeling.
When you talk about the championship and everybody getting together, is that something that can be very difficult because once you get promoted, these are just other guys that, you have to kind of build that camaraderie. So like, how quickly were you able to kind of gel with these guys? I know we've had Austin Vernon and Logan Driscoll on the show and you were teammates with them. How easy was it to kind of gel with these guys?
For me, it was pretty easy. All the guys in our organization are super cool and, just super friendly and everybody got along really well. So, as soon as I got up there, I knew a few guys just from spring training and stuff like that. And other guys that were in Charleston that had been moved up. So I knew a few guys that were already up there and it was pretty easy to gel with them. And, just the rest was, it was a great time.
Heck, since we're on the subject of playing in the minor leagues, before we get into Mason, your background of growing up in Missouri and so forth, just what is it like for you to get that promotion and get that call up? You were in Charleston and then you got the call up to Bowling Green. Just what's that experience like of like, oh man, I'm advancing to that next level. My dream of becoming a professional baseball player or a major leaguer, I should say, is moving forward, I guess.
Yeah, it's a really good feeling. We all work so hard and it's a long season. There's a lot of ups and downs, and sometimes you're like, oh, I'm not doing that great, or I'm feeling really good right now. Like, why am I not going up or whatever. But whenever you actually get the call to go up, it's a good feeling because that they've noticed what you've been doing and they think you're doing really good. So it was a great feeling.
And what's the difference between low A to high A for you, just in terms of the gameplay?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the gameplay, the pace of the game was the same for me. I think that the biggest difference was the pitching. The pitchers were able to command their off-speed stuff better and spot up a little bit better. So that was the biggest adjustment for me.
Is there a lag between getting told, hey, you're getting promoted, to the point where you're hearing rumors, or it's just you never hear anything and then it's just, hey, you're getting promoted? How does that work?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, like whenever guys are playing good, like other guys will be like, oh, you won't be here for very much longer, whatever. But you don't really hear anything about it. I didn't hear anything about me getting moved up until, so we played a game, and it wasn't even right after the game. I already left, was going back to our apartment, and our manager called me and he was like, hey man, you got called up. So I had to go back to the field, grab all my stuff, and then I left that next day.
How does that work? Like, you get the call, okay, you go back to the field, you get your stuff, and then what happens to the lease? What happens to your stuff? You're moving. Like, do you even sleep that night? Who gets your airplane ticket? Like, how does that all work?
Yeah, so I have my truck with me, so I just packed up all my stuff in there, and I actually met the team in Asheville, North Carolina, it was like a 4-hour drive from Charleston. So I met them there, but the lease and stuff like that is all taken care of by the teams now. So with that wasn't that hard to deal with. All I just had to do was turn in my key and then I just left. So all of that was taken care of.
Yeah,
perfect.
No, that's good to know. And kind of following up on the life of a minor leaguer, if you will, it wasn't that long before you were playing high school baseball and then a little bit of college, and then you get thrown right into the pros. Just what has been that adjustment of playing in the minors? Is it the grind of games pretty much every day, the travel, being away from family and friends, or just a conglomeration of it all?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that junior college prepared me pretty well for as far as like travel, stuff like that. And I think that the biggest change from it all is playing every single day. You have to be ready to go every single day, no matter how you're feeling. If you're not feeling good, you still got to go out there and perform. And I think that just the games every single day can take a toll on your body and stuff like that, but you just got to do extra stuff to take care of it.
Gotcha. I want to go back into the time machine a little bit. In high school, you were a quarterback. Obviously, you were also playing baseball at the time. When did baseball win that battle in your heart, in your mind, and for your future? What happened that you said, nah, it's okay, let go of the pigskin, and I'm going to go baseball?
Yeah, so I mean, I've always known kind of that baseball was my thing, especially once I got into high school and stuff and started getting recruited and stuff like that. I just knew that I've always liked baseball a lot, and especially so I didn't play football my senior year, and that was a tough decision for me to make. But I was already committed to Missouri State at the time. I had pro scouts come and watch me play and stuff like that, and it was a really tough decision for me. But that was really when it was set in stone. Like baseball was my thing. Was like my senior year of high school.
That's awesome. And then, how did playing football in any way prepare you for baseball? I hear a lot about the importance of playing multiple sports and diversifying your portfolio, if you will. I know Kevin Kiermaier, he played football, basketball, and baseball up in Indiana, but just the additional competition and especially as a quarterback, you got to kind of be a leader and process information quickly. But just did that kind of prepare you or help you anyway for playing baseball, or at least having that extra focus of like, hey, I'm not going to get burnt out on baseball because I'm not playing that 12 months out of the year. I'm also playing football or another sport.
Yeah, I mean, I think that kids should play as many sports as they can. I mean, I played basketball and football and baseball growing up. And, I think it just teaches kids how to maneuver in different ways and, learn how to be an athlete. And I mean, because all different sports are, you're learning different things in every single one. And I mean, as well as, you're not going to get burnt out when you're playing all these different sports, because I was a guy who I like to play everything, and And I learned that just from hanging out with my brother and his friends all the time, playing different sports in the front yard, backyard, whatever it was. But, I think playing all those sports helped me a lot.
Nice. And then growing up, so I'm originally from Indiana, as Ulises blew the lid on, and obviously basketball is king there. But what about Missouri? Is it baseball? Is it football? Is it basketball? Is it something else I don't know about? What's kind of the number one game in town there?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's all pretty even around here, to be honest. There's good athletes that play all sorts of different sports around here. But for me, it was always baseball. But I don't know. I don't know. I couldn't tell you exactly what the most important sport is around here, to be honest.
Knowing that you just said it, baseball was always it for you. Who was that guy that you grew up idolizing? Maybe a swing, maybe the way that they played the outfield. Maybe we obviously know that you had dabbled on the mound. Like, who were those guys that you were idolizing when you were a kid?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I grew up a Cardinals fan, so Albert Pujols was my guy. Just watching him play all the time and stuff like that. But as I got older, watching like Mike Trout play the outfield, he's a good one, obviously.
Yeah.
And, and my dad was a college baseball player as well. So just learning the game from him, was pretty much it for me. That's why I chose baseball pretty much.
And
Awesome.
When I looked up, you wearing number 1. Is there a reason behind, always us little leaguers, you pick your jersey number and it means something to you. Is that something that has kind of stayed with you? Is there a reason why you wear number 1?
So when I was in high school, they just gave me number 1. And so I just kind of stuck with it after that. When I was growing up, I was always different numbers. Like I was number 99 one time for Manly Ramirez and stuff like that. So I was just kind of mixing around with numbers, but number 1, they just gave it to me in high school and I just kind of stuck with it.
It's kind of stuck with you. Okay.
Yeah. And Mason, you mentioned Albert Pujols and Mike Trout, and then just kind of going through your youth and playing high school and college. Is it one of those players or another player that you've sort of tried to model your game after, because you do have such a unique skill set in terms of the defense, the speed, the athleticism, the offense? Is there kind of like a 5-tool player out there that you've kind of, hey, I want to try to be like that guy? Or is it Mike Trout? Is it Albert Pujols?
I've never really tried to compare my game to any big leaguer, to be honest. I just kind of go out there and play, and that's just what I got, and that's what I'm going to give you every day. So I never really tried to be anybody else on the field, just except for myself.
That's a great answer. I love that answer. Let's move on a little bit into the further after high school, after college. You get, obviously, the draft comes around. We've talked to a few players, and they have told us that they never saw the Rays coming. That it was just kind of a surprise, or that they came very late in the process, and they were, they didn't know that the Rays were actually scouting them. So is that something that happened with you as well?
Yeah. So I had never, so I'd heard from our coaches that the Rays were watching me and stuff like that, and they liked me a lot, but I had never talked to the Rays scout until I think it was 2 or 3 days before the draft. And he called me and was just talking to me, and I was like, well, I had no idea you guys were even interested, to be honest. But yeah, so I didn't talk to them until 2 or 3 days before the draft.
And walk us through that draft day. I'm a sucker for those videos, of the 2 types of videos of baseball when guys get drafted, and that emotion, it's so cool. And also when they're told, hey, you're going to the big leagues, those 2 types of videos, boom, sign me up. I'll watch them every time. Can you walk us through that draft day, what you were feeling, who were you with, how did you get the call? Walk us through that day.
Yeah, so I mean, I was just hanging out at the house with some family and friends. My grandparents came down, and then just had some of my buddies over, and we were just watching, just watching on the TV and stuff like that. And, I was just talking with my agents and whatever. And then it finally, he called me and said, hey, you're up next. And then boom, it just happened really fast. And then I was picked. And then, I mean, it's an unreal feeling, the dream that you've been chasing forever. You finally get to, start that process playing professional baseball. So, I mean, it was an awesome day.
And how much did you know about that, the Rays organization by then? You said you were a Cardinals fan, so National League, obviously. how much were you in tune with the Rays at that point?
I wasn't really. I mean, I didn't really know much about him at all, to be honest, until they picked me. And then, once I went, I didn't know anything about him until I went down there and figured it all out. So yeah, I didn't know anything.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
and when you eventually met up with them, what did they tell you about, hey, this is the reason why we spent a 5th round draft pick on you, even though we didn't have a ton of conversations with you? This is what we like about your game and your style and what you bring. Just anything that you can tell us about what they're kind of all over you about?
Yeah, I mean, I think they liked my athleticism and just the way that I played hard every day, and I was able to do multiple different things, and just showed that I could. I had some speed, had some pop, and stuff like that, and they just wanted to really develop me, and that's why I think they chose me.
And was the 5th round, were you surprised being that high, or were you expecting somewhere around that range leading into the draft?
Yeah, I was expecting somewhere around there. It's such a the draft process is really crazy. So, I mean, you never know, but I was expecting to be around that area. Yeah.
Yeah. And I actually read this not too long ago. You participated in, unless this is fake news, I don't know, in the MLB Draft League. I guess it's something new that the MLB has come up with. What was that experience like for you? And do you think it helped prepare you or gave you a little bit of an edge leading up to the draft?
Yeah, so I played for the Frederick Keys in the draft league right after I was at Sanjak, right before the draft. And I went down there and it was a great time. There was good competition, great exposure. And I felt like it helped me a lot, just prepare me for the draft and, have another chance for those scouts to come watch me play and stuff like that. So I thought it was a great time.
Yeah, and then going into the draft, and I guess maybe even before then, any idea on, hey, I might want to try to be a pitcher full time, or might want to try to be a two-way player, or I want to focus more on just being a position player? Just what were those conversations like over the course of the draft process? Because we know you can throw very, very hard as well.
Yeah, so I mean, I've been pitching my whole life, and I was pitching up until I pitched in the draft league as well. And I always thought that I was going to be a position player. I like to play every day. I wouldn't be too good at just sitting there watching other guys play. So I was like, all right, I need to, I like to play every day. And I think that they saw my athleticism and just stuff like that. So I think that's why they chose me as an outfielder. Someday down the road, if that didn't work out, I think I could still pick it up and pitch, but I like playing the outfield every day.
Can you kind of paint a picture of who Mason Auer, the pitcher, was, the repertoire, the pitch mix? Can you kind of tell us who he was?
Yeah, so I mean, I like to go up there. I like to throw hard, so I would always try to throw my hardest fastball. I had a slider and changeup, but I would just try to power. I would just try to power my fastball by you and stuff like that. But I had a pretty good slider as well.
Very nice.
Hey, that's what the Rays like. They like hard fastball slider guys. So, and they do things a little bit differently. So who knows? You might, be called to the mound at some point when you're in a Rays uniform. It's not the craziest thing that's happened for that organization.
True,
Ask Brett Phillips and some of these other guys.
Yeah.
Kind of going back and leading up to the draft, you first played at Missouri State and then transferred to Sanjak in Houston, Texas. I was curious about, obviously, I know you're from Missouri and all that, but why Missouri State as opposed to maybe some of the bigger blue blood programs? Was it something where you felt like you were maybe under recruited and they gave you the most love out the gate and you chose to stick with them? Just kind of why Missouri State initially?
Yeah, so I mean, it's my hometown team. It's in Springfield, Missouri. So, and at the time, they were going to super regionals, doing all sorts of good stuff like that. And, it just felt right for me at the time. I committed pretty early. I committed as a sophomore in high school. So that just kind of happened for me. And, I was happy to stay home and go there, and it didn't end up being what I thought it was going to be. So I ended up going to Sanjak down in Houston. And that was probably the best decision I ever made, was to go there. Great coaching staff. It was a great time. We had a really good team. Got a lot of exposure down there. And, we went to the World Series, which was a lot of fun. And I just had a great time while I was there.
And I guess the weather is probably a little bit different, and the lifestyle and just people are different in Houston, Texas than Missouri, I would guess, to some extent. Yeah,
a lot better weather. We got to play. I think our first game was like January 11th down there, and it was like 70 degrees. So that was perfect. But it was definitely a big change for me for sure.
what was the biggest change? I mean, you were a young guy. You had just kind of made a big decision in your life that something had not gone according to plan. What were the things that you needed to do mentally to kind of approach this new path, well and be successful at it?
Yeah, so I mean, I think the biggest change for me was, I didn't know anybody from Texas, so I knew 0 people down there. It was around the COVID time, so we couldn't, especially like when I first got there, we couldn't have like full team practices yet. You could only practice with like a group of like 3-4 people because of the COVID restrictions. And I went down there, and my roommate, his name is Sabine Ceballos. He's from Puerto Rico, and he didn't speak English when I went down there. So, that was just a big culture shock for me and stuff like that. And, he ended up being one of my best friends, and, he learned English really fast, which was very impressive. And so it was, that was definitely a big shock for me, but, it was a great time, and I had a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Any chance that he was able to impart some Spanish wisdom on you while being roommates?
Yeah, he would teach me some Spanish. I'd teach him English, but Spanish is, for me, I can understand it pretty decently, but I'm not very good at talking it. But
that's fair.
Yeah,
that's gonna be great in the dugout. Yeah, you hear it, you're like, okay, well, I know what's up.
So I definitely came into pro ball with some knowledge, at least, of what they were saying. You know what I mean? So
that's awesome. Yeah. That's cool.
The NFL playoffs are here, and we're really excited about our new sports betting partner for Locked On, because they are the #1 sports book in America. That is FanDuel. And if you're new to FanDuel, that's even better. They have so many great features that make betting on sports fun and easy. New customers, join today to get started with $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just sign up at FanDuel.com/locked-on. FanDuel has all your favorite bets, from the money line to point spreads to player props. Plus, you can even combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same game parlay. All on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. So, football fans, don't miss out. Place your first $5 bet to get $150 in free bets, win or lose, at FanDuel.com/locked-on. That's LOCKEDON. Again, LOCKEDON. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
I want to go back to the 2022 season, because I saw this. If in people that are watching this on YouTube, make sure to check this out. You had a game in September where you had not one but 2 double plays while playing center field. Do you know the game I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yep. I think it was
Greensboro. Yeah, exactly. It was, I think so. Yeah, and the first play you showed off your arm, your closing speed, the diving ability. Then the other one was kind of more of a regular fly ball, and then just a dart to get the runner at home. Which kind of play do you like to do more, that gives you a little bit more pride? The diving, play, and then the easy throw to second to get the double play, or just the routine fly ball and then, hey, I'm going to show you what I have as a cannon?
Yeah, I think that, diving plays are awesome, but I think that I get more fun out of it from throwing people out of home plate. I like to show off my arm and stuff like that. So I think that gives me more joy than a diving catch. Obviously, diving catches are super cool and everybody loves them, but I like to throw people out. So that one's for me, for sure.
Nice. And then since becoming part of the Rays organization, have they played you all over the outfield, center field, right field, left field?
Yeah, I've played all the positions. When I got moved up to high, I was playing mostly center field, but I was playing right, left, center. It just kind of depends. But I think they do a great job of that, of moving you around so that you're capable of playing any position at the big league level.
And do you have a preference? Do you prefer center field over the others, vice versa?
Yeah, I like center field. I see myself as a center fielder, but I'll play whatever position you want me to in the outfield. Yeah.
Right. And what types of drills does the organization work with you on to sharpen up defensively and in the outfield? I didn't know if there's some drills that little leaguers out there might know or high schoolers out there might know, but just anything that you can kind of walk us through to make sure that they have their players as sharp as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think a big thing is during BP is taking live reps during batting practice and stuff like that, and they harp on that. And I mean, drills we do, they'll hit us fungo ground balls, line drives at us, make us move right to left. They'll throw softballs, like not softballs, but like these hyperlight balls. They'll put them in the machine and they'll like move all over the place, and you have to go catch it and stuff like that. And I mean, there's so many drills. I could probably sit here and talk to you for an hour about our drills that we do, but we do a ton of stuff.
That's really interesting. It's like a wiffle ball kind of
yeah, so it's like a squishy ball almost that like they'll put in the machine, and it has some wicked spin and stuff like that on it, so it just moves around, just kind of makes you work on your eyes and stuff like that.
Wow, that's really
and what kind of for you defensively, what's the toughest play to make? Is it a play at the wall? Is it a diving play? Is it a shoestring catch? I guess it depends on the situation and so forth. But just what do you consider to be the biggest challenge that you really take pride in? Oh man, I made a play there.
Yeah, I'd say the hardest ball to make a play on the outfield is a hard hit line drive, like straight over your head, to where you have to go straight back and like turn around and take your eyes off the ball and just sprint backwards, and then you have to try to find it after that. So I would say that's probably the hardest play. I mean, obviously diving plays and like plays at the wall are hard, but like I would say more on a regular basis, those hard line drives that are hit right over your head are the hardest ones to catch.
Well, we know defense is important, but we can also talk about your offensive part of the game. You are kind of that baseball unicorn, dynamic, productive with the bat, but you're also a threat on the bases. Like I mentioned earlier, 48 stolen bags in 2022. Is that something that came naturally to you, or did a coach ever tell you, hey, man, you need to incorporate this facet of the game into gameplay?
Yeah, so I mean, I've always been a base stealer. I stole bases when I was in high school. I think I stole like 35, 36 bags at San Jack that year I was there. And so I think that I've just always kind of done it. And I mean, I think stealing bases is a huge part of the game. I mean, if you're on first base, I'd rather have a guy on second base than on first base. You know what I mean? So I think that I just try to do as much as I can to help the team.
What is, being so proficient at it, what is the one thing that you think is the number one thing that you should tell every guy that wants to steal backs? Is it knowing who is behind the plate and how well they can throw? Is there a little glitch that you see on the pitcher? Maybe a tall pitcher might have a lot of moving parts. So, the long leg kick, what are the things that you first hone in that you're like, I have a chance at swiping a bag here?
Yeah. So, I mean, before games and stuff like that, we'll watch videos on the pitcher and, see their times to the plate and whatnot and all that sort of stuff. But I mean, I see a bunch of guys. I think that the biggest thing is just to not be afraid to steal bags. Obviously, I mean, I think guys sometimes get scared that they're going to get thrown out or whatever, but I mean, you're going to get thrown out. So, I mean, but I think that it's just having that mindset that you can steal. And, obviously preparing and watching that video and, seeing the pitcher's tendencies and stuff like that. But I think it's just having the confidence in yourself that you can steal bags.
Yeah, and that's something that we always love as fans is looking at that dynamic part of the game. And me and Kevin, we've talked about this endlessly. Like the stolen bag game is just dying in baseball. So it's really refreshing to see somebody coming up that appreciates that part of the game.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, and Mason, kind of adding to that a little bit, were the larger bags in effect this season for you? In the minors?
Yeah.
Do you feel like that helped? Did that make a difference? Did that give you more confidence? Like, man, I know I can definitely get one here.
I never really thought about it like that, to be honest. I think that it was just kind of once they were in, like it was just normal. So I couldn't really I don't think it was making a huge difference on if you were going to steal a bag or not. But I mean, they're a little bit bigger, so it might give you a little bit more of an advantage. But I think that it's more safe for running down the line and stuff like that, but I never really noticed it being a huge difference on stealing bases.
Yeah. Is that the kind of mindset you have with all the other rules changes that have come into the minors? It seems like every couple weeks or every couple months, I'm reading an article about, hey, this not saying wacky, but newfound rules changes are being tested out in the minor leagues. And is it just sort of, hey, it is what it is, we just have to go with the flow and adjust to it, and if they implement it in the majors, then we're going to be that much more prepared for it?
Yeah, and I mean, there was a ton of new rules this year, right? So the first week, I think it was, they weren't the new rules weren't into play really. They were just kind of telling you hey, they're going to be in play this next week or whatever. And I think it was the first week they were in play. I was I'd forgotten about the time box and stuff like that. And I was I think it was I don't know. I had 2 strikes and I got in the box and I wasn't. So at the beginning, you had to be in the box and looking at the pitcher at 9 seconds. Okay. And I was in the box, but I just wasn't looking at the pitcher. And the umpire struck me out. And I was just I was confused on what happened. But, that part of it, I think they changed it now to where you just have to be in the box. You don't have to actually be looking at them. Which is good because I was in the box, I just wasn't looking at the pitcher, so he struck me out. So I thought that was kind of ridiculous, but I mean, it definitely speeds the game up for sure.
It's not the same, but I played obviously the intramural softball in at USF, and I went to the box, and I'm like, oh man, okay. I'm gonna do something productive here. Boom, 1 strike, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. I got this. And then 2nd strike, and he's like, you're out. And I'm like, dude, it's 2 strikes. And he's like, no, you start with a 1-1 count in softball. Yeah. What are you talking about? I'm like,
oh yeah.
Well, that was the most embarrassing walk back to the dugout because you're like, I didn't even get a shot here.
Yeah, that's fun.
Limited foul balls too. There's a lot of other rules in adult softball there. Well, yeah, you should protest that strikeout. Be like, that should not be part of my. Yeah. There should be an asterisk there of that wasn't a real strikeout. That wasn't a swing or miss or anything.
Yeah, no, I remember those first couple weeks there was tons of guys getting rung up on those calls, and we were all just fed up with it. But you just have to kind of have to abide by the rules and get it done. So I mean. But I feel like that definitely helped speed up the game. I mean, you could definitely tell there was a difference there.
That's great. Talking about strikeouts, you had a great interview in Fangraphs with David Lorilla, and you said that in 2023, what you'd like to improve most would be your strikeout to walk ratio. So, what are you doing this offseason to improve that? Is it hand-eye coordination drills, video work? What are you doing to emphasize an improvement on that part of your game?
Yeah, so I mean, I think the biggest thing for me, obviously, was to get that down to be a smaller percentage. But this offseason, we've just been doing tons of, mix off the machine, stuff like that. And, having my trainer move the machine to where, I'll turn around and, he'll move the machine. And then I'll go back in the box and he'll, change it to where it's either throwing strikes or balls, and stuff like that. So, I mean, but yeah, I mean, it was my first year in pro ball. So it was definitely, it was a lot of things being thrown at me and stuff like that. So, there will be improvements in that for sure, I think. But, that's definitely the thing that I think I need to improve the most.
And I also saw that you've been doing some heavy lifting. I don't know if that's something that you've always done or if it's something that you wanted to do this off season. Can you talk about, that part of your regimen?
Yeah. So, I mean, I love to lift weights. I started lifting weights, I think, when I was probably 6th, 7th grade. And wow. I mean, it's just always kind of been a part of my routine, and I'm a big routine guy. I like to have, I like to, keep my daily routine to be somewhat similar every single day. And, I have a great trainer, and, we came up with a great program for me to get, just explosiveness and power and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's been going really good.
Does that translate into better and faster times when you're trying to steal bags, or more offensive power? Is it everything? What do you think that the lifting does to kind of help you in baseball?
I think that the way that I'm lifting and stuff like that translates to, speed, explosiveness, power, everything. I think that it kind of helps just with every asset of my game. But I mean, there's different days, we're doing different things, toward more goal-based towards different types of things and stuff like that. So I think that with all the training that I've been doing, it kind of helps just every aspect of my game.
All right, I'm going to ask it. Mason, obviously it's jacked and you can tell he's been lifting weights for years. Do you have a max bench press?
I don't know. I don't know if I have a max bench press. I haven't done it in a while. I think that if I were to max out, I could probably get around 350, 345.
Okay.
Probably
Okay.
somewhere in there, maybe. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see, but would have to check on that. But I don't know. I don't have one as of right now.
Yeah.
That's like
Follow-up. Are you
Kevin and I combined. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, basically. Do you think you're the pound for pound strongest guy on the Bowling Green hot rods?
Yes, I would say so. I would.
Okay.
I think I can confidently say that. I think some guys might have some other words to say about that, but I think
Yeah.
I could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, if like, again, not to like, it's whatever. Like you Google Mason Auer and you're like, okay, is this guy a middle linebacker in the NFL? Like you're jacked up, and that's got to be intimidating for other pitchers too. Honestly, when you're at the plate, I would think to some extent.
Hopefully, I guess. You know.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay, so let's go. I want to do a little fun thing. Obviously, you are a young guy and you get a sign-in bonus, and it's all, you have to be responsible and all that, but there's always some portion of that you're like, I'm gonna have some fun. So what was the first thing that you kind of like treated yourself when you had that sign-in bonus? You're like, I'm gonna buy that. So what was that for you?
I haven't bought anything. So I think that for me, I haven't used any of that money, and I probably won't use any of that money. I just live like I have, the money I have that I make from playing and stuff like that and doing other little stuff but I don't really spend money, to be honest. I'll buy like clothes and stuff like that now.
Sure.
That, I was in college, like I couldn't because I didn't have any money, but yeah, I'll buy some Lulu shirts here and there, stuff like that, but I don't really.
Okay. Financially responsible. I love it, Kevin.
Yeah.
This guy's speaking to my financial heart right here.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, you work in the financial industry, so you can bring him on as a client if you want. Yeah, there's always time to buy that house, buy that car, and you can see that money grow in the bank too. So
Yeah,
smart.
That's true. It's true. I also want to kind of peek behind the curtain here on a professional baseball player. Walk us through, let's say you have a game that day, you wake up, walk us through what happens when you open your eyes and until the final out of the game. Like what happens? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, so every morning, obviously I like to eat my breakfast, whatever, stuff like that. And then I like to go, depending on, if we have a lift at the field or whatever, we'll go in early, get that lift done. Fuel up again, eat some more food, stuff like that. And then really I like to, especially during the season, I like to sleep in a little bit, because I got to get my sleep. We're at the field, till like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night usually. So, I like to sleep in a little bit, like 9, 10, get up, eat, do whatever, hang out with the guys, go to the field, get our lift done. And then after that, we're pretty much at the field hitting. We'll have hitting groups, individual hitting groups, individual defense stuff, and then we'll come together as a team, hit BP on the field, do like obviously live reads and batting practice in the outfield, stuff like that. Then we'll go in, have we'll have like hitters meetings, like watching the pitcher, do all that type of stuff. Then we'll eat again, and then we'll shower up, get ready for the game, and then play the game, then shower, eat, go home, do it all again the next day. So it's a long day for sure.
I want to stop there. You said something that piqued my interest. The hitters meetings. Walk us through that. Like, how does that look? What is being talked about? How is there video? Is there scouting reports for guys? Is it binders of papers, like iPads? Get us in that room. What is it like?
Yeah, so we'll have like a TV set up, and then our hitting coach will have his computer set up with like an HDMI cord to the TV, and like he'll have the pitchers, all the, just different games that he's pitched in and all the pitches he'll throw and like different counts and stuff like that. And we'll just watch his tendencies and, watch especially, and then we'll go over like base running stuff, like what he does, what his times are to the plate. He'll just sit there and talk about like what our plan is for today. Like, how can we beat this guy? How can we get him out of the game and stuff like that? And I think that it's very beneficial for every hitter.
No, I would think so. There must be a lot of video work. It's 2023 now. Like that's basically your bread and butter. Is there a lot of paper? Is there a lot of tangible stuff that is being given to you guys still, though?
Yeah, so they have a bunch of sheets and stuff like that that'll have like his pitch chart and like, or where he's locating his pitches, where where he's trying to get you to swing out of the zone, what pitches he's trying to throw for balls that try to get you to swing at, all sorts of different stuff. And I like to look at all that stuff. All different spray charts, different what hitters have had success on him, and what they've hit, what pitches they've hit, and all that type of different stuff. So there's tons of stuff being thrown around in there. Yeah.
Is there something that you go to first when you get that, I guess, big data sheet of hey, I'm gonna pinpoint this thing first and then move on to the other aspects?
Yeah, so I like to look at the paper stuff, look at the charts and whatever, but I'm more of a video guy. I like to just see how he moves, see how his arm action is, and see what other hitters are struggling with against him, and see what other hitters are having success with on him and stuff like that. I think I learn better just from watching people do it.
And those videos is that from the center field camera, or is it a catcher's perspective sort of thing?
It's from behind, so it'll be from center field camera, or we have all different camera angles, from the side, the front, the back.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's different camera angles.
And that was you had that from your basically first day in the minors, from Charleston all the way up. It's not, because I know I've heard in the past where it's oh, well, only AAA has this sort of equipment, or only AA does, but I guess it's starting to be revamped all throughout the minor league system, some of that technology.
Yeah, so we had it in Charleston and in Bowling Green. So I think that in our organization we have it at every single level.
That's fantastic. That sounds a lot like the Rays way, to be quite honest.
The NFL playoffs are here, and we're really excited about our new sports betting partner for Locked On, because they are the #1 sports book in America. That is FanDuel. And if you're new to FanDuel, that's even better. They have so many great features that make betting on sports fun and easy. New customers, join today to get started with $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just sign up at FanDuel.com/LockedOn. FanDuel has all your favorite bets, from the money line to point spreads to player props. Plus, you can even combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same game parlay, all on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. So, football fans, don't miss out. Place your first $5 bet to get $150 in free bets, win or lose, at FanDuel.com/LockedOn. That's LOCKEDON. Again, LOCKEDON. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
When you're in the dugout and those hitters meetings, what's the jargon like? What are the words that are being thrown around? Is it the analytical ones? Are we talking exit velos, launch angles, hard hit percentage? Are we looking at strikeout rates? What are the players talking about when they talk about an opponent?
Yeah, so I just think it's cool how everybody will give their knowledge on the pitcher, and say I've hit off, or I've faced him before, and this was my plan, hunt the heater away or hunt the heater in or up or whatever it is, and just pick other people's brains from what they've seen, what they've done, and just seeing how, because the coach hitting coach will ask what's your plan today, or what are you planning on doing based on what we've just shown you, and stuff like that. And I just think that listening to what they have to say, and then coming up with my own plan and everything like that, is pretty much just what we're doing in there, is just coming up with a plan to how we can beat this pitcher.
Gotcha. And talking about stats of your own, when you're looking at the screen of the jumbotron, does it matter the batting average, the slash line, the traditional numbers, or are you really looking for what is my WRC plus? What is my hard hit percentage? What matters to you as a ball player? A stat that you go this is the one I'm focusing in on.
Yeah, obviously it's cool to, when you're on the jumbotron, your stats are really good and everything like that. But, their baseball is changing and everything is, just evolving and everything like that. So all the, the WOBAs and the WRC plus, all that stuff is coming more into play nowadays. But, I'm not huge on checking stats and stuff like that. Obviously if you're struggling, it's, you know, you want to go look at it just to see like, oh, I'm not doing good or whatever. But I mean, I'm not a huge stat checker. I just kind of play, and then, you know, obviously it's cool to have your good stats on the board. The better the stats are on the board, the more the people in the stands know you're pretty good. So I mean, just kind of depends.
And so when do you look at your stats? Like, so I mean, you obviously have a general idea of what is going on, but is it an after the season sort of thing? Be like, okay, boom, oh my God, I almost had 50 bags. You know, when does that happen, or does it not happen?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of keep track in my head, you know, just like, oh, I have this many, I got to get this many to get to what I want or whatever. But I mean, obviously, like, I'll go check every once in a while online you can just look your name up and it'll come up like Mason Auer stats or something like that. So you can just look at stuff. But I mean, if you're just too focused on your stats, then sometimes, you know, you get into a bad groove of things, and then as things starts going downhill. But I mean, I just kind of go with the flow.
Yeah, and Mason, you talked about a couple minutes ago sort of a day in the life during a minor league game or season, but what's a day in the life during the off season for you like right now?
Yeah, so every morning I've incorporated hot yoga into my everyday routine. I've been doing that every morning. It's like an hour class every morning. Been doing that. Then I come home, eat, and then I go out to our workout, and I'm out there from about 11 till like 4 o'clock every day, probably. You know, I'm out there, I go out there, stretch, do my throwing stuff like that, hitting, and then we lift afterwards after that. So I'm doing that pretty much every single day. And I'm also, I'm in classes still. I'm taking online school. So I come home and homework or whatever, I'll do that. So just get all that stuff done. But that's pretty much my day every single day.
Wow. It's almost like you're busier in the off season than during the regular season. That's crazy.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah.
How many classes are you taking?
I'm in 3 classes right now.
3 classes. Okay. Wow. And your hope is every offseason you would be taking off these credits and, you know, getting hopefully your degree at some point.
Yeah. So I mean, I take classes in the season as well. So I'm trying to get it done as fast as I can. So my major is kinesiology. So I'm just kind of, you know, it's all online, so I can do it all throughout the season and stuff like that. I mean, it is sometimes, you know, I don't want to do it during the season. Like I come home after a game and have to write a paper or something like that. But it is a struggle sometimes, but I get it done. So it's been good.
Wow.
Nice. And then obviously going through the process of the grind of a minor league season, we hear legendary, infamous stories about how grueling and long those bus trips are. How do you handle those bus trips? Is that a good opportunity for you to catch up on sleep, you know, watch your favorite television show, read a book, meditate, play cards with the guys? Like what is it? Or just kind of a mixed bag of a little bit of everything?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a huge cards guy. I like to play cards a lot. But if we're not playing cards or just like talking, I'll just try to take a nap, watch a movie or something like that. But I think the longest trip we went on this year was for the championship series. Went up to Aberdeen, Maryland, and that was like 15 or 16 hours, I think it was. God. And so that was a tough one. But I think other than that, the longest one I went on was probably like 8 hours or so, which isn't great either. But that 16-hour drive was brutal for sure.
What do you do in those 16 hours? Do you remember like what happened? Like, do you sleep first? Do you leave that at the end? Like, what do you do on a bus for 16 hours?
I mean, you just have to try to keep yourself entertained. Honestly, I think I took like 3 or 4 naps. You know, woke up, watched a couple of shows or something like that. Maybe looked at my homework, did a few of that, just talked with the guys. I mean, you kind of just have to do a couple random different things to, you know, keep yourself sane. That's for sure. I think you just try to take as many naps as possible.
Yeah. That's
rough. Please tell me there's Wi-Fi, snacks, and drinks on these bus trips.
Well, we will stop at a gas station, you know, get snacks, drinks, whatever, you know. But there is Wi-Fi on the bus for the guys who need it and stuff like that. Okay. Yeah. So you can communicate with other people and like talk on the phone, whatever. But you know, and we'll stop to eat. You know, however, that was 16 hours. We drove through the night. Actually, I'm pretty sure we got there because we played a game. We actually played Aberdeen at our place for the first game of that championship series, And then we got on a bus after that game and drove 16 hours to their place. So we stopped to eat, I think, like twice or something like that. But yeah, it was that was not a good one for sure. That was a bad one.
How many hours after you getting off that bus you needed to be playing? Do you remember that?
We had that whole next day off. That
Okay.
whole next day was off. So we went inside, immediately just went to sleep for the hour, got up and just kind of did what we would normally do. But yeah, we had that whole next day off.
Okay, good. Oh my goodness. Kevin, could you do 16 hours on a bus?
No, I can barely do 2 hours on a plane because my long legs can't, and I don't have first class or any of those accommodations. So I'd be very antsy. I'll just put it like that.
Better
so.
bring a pillow and a blanket.
For sure.
Try to get comfortable as best you can.
The NFL playoffs are here, and we're really excited about our new sports betting partner for Locked On because they are the #1 sports book in America. That is FanDuel. And if you're new to FanDuel, that's even better. They have so many great features that make betting on sports fun and easy. New customers, join today to get started with $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just sign up at FanDuel.com/locked on. FanDuel has all your favorite bets from the money line to point spreads to player props. Plus, you can even combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same game parlay. All on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. So, football fans, don't miss out. Place your first $5 bet to get $150 in free bets, win or lose, at FanDuel.com/locked on. That's LOCKEDON. Again, LOCKEDON. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
Well, I do want to ask this question. I ask it all the time. Maybe Kevin is sick of hearing it, but I love this hypothetical. So bear with me here. So with the WBC coming up, the World Baseball Classic is something I thoroughly enjoy. If you were given the opportunity, in this hypothetical, to play for the U.S. and be the finals MVP or be an all-star in your rookie year, which would you prefer and why?
You're talking about the World Series MVP? That's what you're talking about?
World Baseball Classic. You have the USA on your front. You're the finals MVP. You were the guy. Home run saving catch, 3-run jack, 8th inning, something like that. Or be an all-star on your rookie year. Which one do you take?
I don't know. That's a tough decision. I think I'm going to have to go with an all-star on your rookie year.
How come? Why so?
I think that if you're an all-star during your rookie year, obviously you went crazy. You had a really good year and you really proved yourself to, everyone that you can play at a very, very high level. And so I think that has, I think that'll help you in a long run for sure.
Yeah. Ulises, let's not forget this, the additional bonuses that young players can get through those sorts of metrics. And I think that would carry a lot more cachet than, again, personally speaking, than whatever you do in the WBC. So
yeah, definitely.
Those two, I would like to do both of those things. You know what I mean? But I think I'd rather be an all-star my rookie season.
And you know what? That's true. If once you're an all-star, you're an all-star. Like people cannot call you an all-star. You were an all-star. So that's pretty cool. Now in that kind of scenario, in this hypothetical, do you think which teammate in this scenario would you kind of be like, holy crap, I'm like, his locker room is right next to mine? Like, is this real life? Like, what would be the one name that would kind of like shock you to like, would be like oh my God, I'm a big leaguer and this guy's right next to me?
I mean, in our clubhouse with the Rays big league team, I think it would be, obviously me and Wander Franco, we have the same birthday.
Oh, so look at that.
It'd be like, wow, I'm next to this guy, but like we're the same age. So it'd be kind of like, it's like, he's, you look up to him, but like you whatever, he's like the same age as me, so it'd be kind of weird. But I mean that's like, and he's obviously on that contract and whatever, so like that would be like my locker was next to his. I'd be like, yeah, I mean I made it,
That's very cool.
You can maybe ask to borrow one of his like 10 cars that he has. And actually, I shouldn't even call them cars. They're more like spaceships than anything.
They are. They're very nice spaceships.
They cost as much as spaceships. So.
That's very true. Mason, would you like to play some rapid fire with us?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, so rapid fire. Here we go. Favorite streaming device: Netflix, Hulu, or Disney Plus?
Netflix.
Okay. Favorite TV show?
Peaky Blinders.
Oh, okay. Parentheses. Kevin, have you been watching Peaky Blinders?
No, I've been watching Yellowstone and The White Lotus as of right now.
I keep hearing about the White
NFL
Lotus.
playoffs.
I've seen
The White Lotus is pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Is it?
It's pretty good.
Yeah. It's not like an all-time great show, but it's like if you've got some downtime, it'd be great for a 16-hour bus trip.
Yeah, it would be great for that, actually.
I got to tell you, Peaky Blinders, Mason's right. I mean, the Peaky you-know-what Blinders is amazing, dude.
Yeah.
It's such a good show.
Yeah. I had another one come to mind. Game of Thrones is up there as well. So
Sure.
Those are two
classic.
Two good
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah, you gotta get on that one. What's your favorite baseball movie?
Rookie of the Year.
Ooh, throwback. That's
Throwback movie. I watched that growing up all the time. That one's been one of my favorites for a long time.
Now, that's the Cubs, right?
Yeah.
How did that affect your Cardinal of fandom when you were growing up? You were like, I wish this was a Cards movie, but it's a Cubs, so I'll whatever.
Yeah, it was whatever. I didn't really look at it like that, but it was just I just liked the movie. It's just this crazy thing. He just all of a sudden starts throwing hard, and then it's just in the big leagues at like 12 years old or however old he was. So
yeah,
it's just a cool movie.
It is. Kevin, you got some?
Yeah. Mason, what is your favorite hobby?
Ooh, I would say my favorite hobby is weightlifting. That is my favorite.
Okay. Very good.
Fair enough.
Favorite food?
Mexican food.
Perfect.
Okay.
Does pineapple go on pizza?
I've had it on pizza before, but I am not a fan, so I would say no.
Good.
I concur. Smartest teammate?
Oh, that's a tough one. Like I've ever played with, or like on the Rays with me?
In the Rays organization.
This is a tough one. I got to think about this one for a second.
Or a guy that's just like full of wisdom, like Yoda from Star Wars. Like, man, he's always got bangers when you talk to him.
Yeah.
Dude, this is a tough one. I don't know. I would say off the top of my head, like someone who's always got something to say that's somewhat smart is Drew Baker. Like he's just like he's always got something brewing in his head that he's ready to say. I would say that.
Okay.
That's
fair enough.
Cool.
Fair enough.
What about the besides yourself, most athletic teammate you've played with in the Rays organization?
I would say either I'm going to name three. Carson Williams, Shane Sasaki, and Drew Baker as well.
Gotcha.
Ulises, we've heard Shane Sasaki before. Somebody else mentioned him.
Yes.
That we had on the pod.
Was it Logan Driscoll maybe?
It might have been. I'd have to go back in the archives. So
yeah, but we've heard that too. Drew Baker, by the way, he was drafted on the same year as you guys. You guys are draft buddies, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Parentheses here. How does that relationship grow when you're like, hey, we're on this thing together? Like, can you talk about your relationship with Drew?
Yeah. So me and him were roommates. At the beginning, like as soon as we got drafted, me, him, and Kyle Manzardo all lived together as soon as we got drafted. And so just kind of you're with each other every day. So you just learn about each other, you become friends, you're competing against each other, but like you're also, creating a friendship and a relationship that's going to last forever and stuff like that. So, I mean, he's one of my good friends, and, our relationship is really good. And I think that, he's one of the coolest dudes I've met in a long time. So, I mean, it's been good.
That's awesome. I remember when we were going through that, the names, the draft picks. I remember Kevin saying, Drew Baker, this guy just has to play baseball with this name.
Yeah.
Drew Baker. Like, this is just the most baseball name ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
There were a couple of them in that draft class. Oh,
Yeah.
Man, I can't think off the top of my head, but there are some good ones. But that's also a talented room there. Manzardo, yourself, and Drew Baker. What about the toughest pitcher that you faced in the minors thus far?
I would say when I was out in the fall league, I had to hit off Kumar, and he's got a power fastball, and his off-speed stuff is really, really good. And I think that he gets guys to chase his curveball a ton. So I think that, he was just a pretty, like, it wasn't like crazy uncomfortable, but I think it just, he has so many good pitches, and it just, all the hype around him. I'd never seen him pitch before in real life until then and stuff like that. So, I mean, it was just, I think he was really good. And there's a ton of guys too that, I can't like just forget their names. Like, I don't like, so many guys that I face that I just don't remember their names, but are really good. And I think, we got no hit one time when I was in Bowling Green. I think it was a lefty from the Rangers. I forgot what his name was, but his fastball was carrying like crazy, and he was just, we had a lot of trouble with him that day. I forgot what his name was though, but he was really good as well.
That's one of those things where in the dugout, Ulises, you were talking about, hey, what do players say to themselves or say to each other? It's just like, good luck, dude's nasty. It's gonna be a long day.
He was doing us dirty, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You did mention no hit. How does the baseball mind work where, you're disappointed. Okay, you got no hit, but you have to kind of wash it out of your system. How do you wash it out of your system, though? Like, that's something that fans expect from baseball players and football players, whatever, to just get rid of it. But how do you do that? Because it must be really tough.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, after your team gets no hit, it's not a good feeling at all. But I mean, I just think that if you have good teammates and, you guys can just kind of all just hang out with each other and, just try to get your mind off it from doing other stuff other than baseball, and just hanging out with the guys, just talking, doing whatever. I mean, especially you can't be stuck on that, or else you're going to be screwed, for the next couple of days, whatever. I think that next day we went out there and put up like 15 runs or something like that, or like 12 runs that day. So it's just, it's a crazy game, and you can different from every day. So you just got to kind of let it go.
That's great. Now looking to 2023, what do you want to do? Obviously, keeping yourself healthy is obviously number one for every athlete, but what is something that you would like to achieve in this 2023 season? Yeah,
I mean, obviously, I'd like to, hopefully, start in Montgomery, and then, work my way up to Durham, is obviously, work your way. I mean, obviously you got to have big goals, and I hope that happens. But, I think that the biggest goal for me is, just to cut that strikeout percentage down and really get and try to hit 300 and, just have a great season and have a lot of fun.
Fantastic.
And last thing, Mason, you've been a great guest for this hour that we're going on here. I see the Kansas City Chiefs logo in the background. Who is your favorite player on the Chiefs? I think I have an idea, but just want to hear it from you.
Yeah, I mean, you probably already know, but it's Pat Mahomes for sure.
Okay.
Or Travis Kelce, either or. But yeah, I mean, Pat Mahomes is my guy for sure.
All right. Follow-up question. Who's your favorite throwback Kansas City Chiefs player, like that you watched when you were a kid growing up? Like a Larry Johnson or, something along those lines. That might've been a little bit before your time. I don't know, but, a guy from maybe 8 to 10, 12 years ago.
I'm going to go ahead and say, Jamal Charles, probably.
Good one.
I mean, he wasn't too long. I mean, wasn't too long ago, but, Jamal Charles is a little bit of a throwback. So he was my guy.
Here was his scouting report, by the way. Fast as hell. That was actually his scouting report.
Yeah.
So, there we go.
Just 3 words. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, basically. No, Ulises, anything else for Mason? He's been awesome. You know,
Nothing. I think the fandom has really heard your name lately. We just wanted to give you the platform and the chance to just maybe give a message to race fans out there that are getting to know you, and they're pretty excited about what you can do, Mason, and they're really rooting for you right now.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. It's been a great time.
Thank you for joining.
And again, hey, Rays, just give him the call up to AA starting in 2023. Just get it done. It's only a matter of time before that happens. So, all right. Thank you for listening to the Locked On Rays podcast. Be sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel as well if you want to watch our beautiful faces. I think we have some more prospects in the pipeline that we'll have on the program as well. But Mason's the first one we've had in several months, and he hit it out of the park, I would say. So, awesome, Mason. I guess we'll probably have to have you on when you're playing for the Rays. A year and a half, 2 years from now.
Yeah, sounds good. Just let me know whenever.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Perfect.